2 rounds down in the finals and 2 to go. Last week at Zolder was a terrifying event for some. A very tight and brutal track combined with rain in race 3 means that the standings have shuffled around quite a bit. We've seen some big movers and shakers here, and it's a pleasure to bring you all to Germany, the virtual Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit for round 3 of the finals here in the Kehrvets NZ Toyota 86 E-Cup right here on NZ Sim Racing TV. Bringing it to you live here is myself, Reese Gardner, with Scott Rankin alongside me in the commentary box. Scott, honestly, round 2 was an incredible show. We had fantastic racing all throughout the field. Plenty of drivers who were very surprised with how things went. A couple looking to make up some redeeming qualities here for round number 3. It's going to be a fun ride.
Yeah, and a challenging one as well, but challenging in a different way. When we went to Zolder last time out, it was all about, you know, chicanes and navigating them and making sure that you bounce the car in the correct direction, and then managing the wet weather as well, placing the car. And we saw quite a number of guys that were happy to crawl all over the road, and they were able to drive the car quickly in that format. Different challenge here tonight, fast and flowing. We're taking to the Nurburgring GP layout, but it's not the full version of the layout, it's the shorter version of the layout as well. They come through the arena section like we are on screen at the moment, and then we don't go any much further than this. Just over the crest of the hill right here in this shot, you actually see these guys turn right, and then they'll double back, which means they effectively eliminate the fastest and most flowing section of the circuit in the Schumacher S's. So realistically, this is still challenging. It still has a chicane element to it, but the way that you attack it, again, look at the way that they're attacking those curves. Completely different. Very, very different style of racetrack and different challenge altogether compared to last week. Yeah, to this point in time, and the big thing was that Ewan Baker walked away after round 1, and he was very quick and very consistent and put it on top there. But things did not go his way in round 2, and that's the reason that we're not necessarily talking about him on top of the standings after round number 2. But the big one is, have a look at that driver that just dittoed their way into the back end of the top 10, and have a look at the driver that's moved their way into 3rd spot. Sprague picked up 15 spots in the points, so not a strong round 1, very, very strong round number 2. He was consistently there and on the podium across all 3 of the races, showed his skills in a variety of mixed conditions, and also navigating the reverse grid race that did in for so many of his other competitors out there. Paul Booth also really, really happy with the way that he drove. Quite defensive, managed to really show the rear end of that car and just be not a moving chicane or a rolling roadblock, but very difficult to overtake. A lot of the time he spent on the back foot defending, but did it clean, did it aggressively, hung on to race spots. And that's actually why as well, he's actually ended up picking up the driver of the day from last week.
Indeed, we'll be talking more about that very shortly. But first, as we conclude our viewing of the standings here, got a few drivers who are wanting to actually get some points on the board here in round 3. Look at the championship, the way we're going to be consulting the race today. 15 minutes of qualifying is ahead of us. Race 1, 12 laps. Race 2, 15 laps. And race 3, 9 laps. Very similar format to what the NZ Toyota 86 championships run in the real world. No compulsory pit stops, but there will be a top 10 grid invert for race number 2. A huge thanks to all of our sponsors and supporters here in the NZ Toyota 86 E-Cup, presented to you by Kehrvets. Of course, one of the big aspects of this series is the social aspect, the fan vote. After every single round on the NZ Sim Racing TV socials, we have a vote to choose the driver of the day. Not only does the driver, but also a random fan getting a pair of sim racing gloves from Speed Nation as a result. And today's winner is Paul Booth, standing alongside with Scott Rankin.
Paul, difficult week last time out at Zolder. I mean, but the big challenge for you was obviously defensive. A little bit of a defensive masterclass. It actually looked like you had a whole bunch of fun because it was very, very difficult to overtake at Zolder. And obviously, I think the bigger thing, a lot of fans out there watching along at home, nearly 60% of the vote from last week. What would you like to say to everyone that's given you a vote?
I'd just like to thank them, really. It was it's definitely a tough race out there, especially that third race. It was dripping wet, which was, made it a bit harder. But yeah, really enjoyed it. A lot better than the first run that I had.
Mate, big opportunity as well. Moved your way all the way up into 10th in the outright point standings as well. So starting to push towards the top end of things. Different way of going about it this week. We go from a tight and technical track, this time out fast and flowing. Do you feel like you're going to be a little bit more at home at the Nurburgring or more at home at Zolder last week?
It's a bit of much of a muchness, I think. I feel like the draft's going to play a big part this week. So just trying to probably stay in that train and keep myself around that top 10 where I've been last week would be really good.
Finally, what do you reckon? Targeting 10th spot at the end of the first race, pole position after the invert, is that the ultimate goal?
At the stage, yeah, but I'll have to wait and see what I do after qualifying, because my qualifyings haven't been the greatest so far this season. So, wait and see.
All right, mate, best of luck. Get the head down, and big shout out to all the fans at home. They've given Paul a vote this week, mate. Congratulations on winning the fan vote, and who knows, we could be speaking to you again for the same prize again next week.
Awesome. Cheers, guys.
This is where we're going to start seeing those drafting groups form that you mentioned, Scott. This formation lap, or the out lap that these drivers are completing, is perhaps the most crucial part of the session.
Yeah, and it's set yourself up. Admittedly, you're not going to see the best times come out straight away. The tyres are just not quite there on the first flying lap. So this is read where you are in the pack, take a look at the guys around you, and see if you really understand. Critically, watching Mitchell Sparrow here, and I was just trying to pick up on where he's running around. He's about 2 seconds behind Ewan Baker at the moment. So if he can get a little bit of a hurry on this warm-up lap, he's going to be around somebody that's really, really quickly. If he can leverage Ewan, and in fact, Ewan's actually run a touch wide just ahead of him, this is every opportunity for him to put himself in with a massive toe. So again, it's just smart. How you play this out, warm those tyres up a little bit, but make sure you're in a window to run a lap speed. If you get balked on a lap and have to bail out, you potentially could lose 2 laps. If that happens halfway through a lap in the final sector, trying to gather that back up, set yourself up and go again, you might lose the trailing lap as well. So 15 minutes, it's a hard cut at the end of that 15 minutes. When that timer expires, that's it. All laps that are on the table, they are done. So it is really, really high pressure for this qualifying session.
Getting some weaving on here for Mitchell Sparrow, trying to get as much heat into those tyres as he can before the lap starts. If you're interested in what the weather conditions are like, it is nice and sunny at the moment. Track temperature of 24 degrees Celsius, and it's right in the sweet zone for some fast laps. Look at that. They're pulling over at the end here. They don't want to be the ones leading the charge. They're trying to form up in their own groups here. Ewan Baker stuck in the middle. I wonder if anyone's going to get impatient and try to get beyond these guys. Well, Ewan Baker will trail behind as they go. And these are the first laps beginning now. Leading the entire field, first car in the train, is Dylan Jordan in the number 21 Kiwi Sim Racing entry. He's not going to have any slipstream benefit on this initial hot lap. This one's just going to be a banker for him.
Yep. Just how massive that number is from the assistance of that slipstream. But these are going to keep improving as well. From practice, we got all the way down to the 38 fours. So we've still got 7-8 tenths of a second to sort of find. It's this next lap that's going to be the good one. The third lap of the stint on this tyre, the tyre actually goes away again. Once you sort of hit that crest, laps 2 and 3 are critical. Sometimes you can get it done on lap 3. Sometimes the tyres are sort of still in a reasonable range, and then they sort of fall off. But after that, you've got to back off. You've got to take a cool down lap. You've got to reset them a little bit, but not too massively. If you back all the way off, that tyre goes too cold and it's not actually back up to its peak conditions again. So it's this game of, it is tyre whisperer. It's really having a chat to those tyres. What can I extract? How can I make you sit in a really, really nice window? And by the way, just keeping an eye on Alex Sprague. He's had a really, really strong lap. Dylan Jordan, that's just ahead of him, has not had a great lap. And, well, Sprague, I think, will improve at the back end of this one.
But I've been thinking, as a new raft of times come in, Corbin to second, Baker to third. You mentioned how the tyres fall off after a couple of laps, Scott. Do you think that the session is long enough that you could maybe afford to jump into the pits, get some fresh rubber on, and do another out lap and hot lap from there? Because it's quite a crowded circuit. You run the risk of running into traffic on that second attempt. And do you have enough time to get it done?
Well, you can. It's really, really touch and go. I think the front half of the field have that as an opportunity. The back half of the field, probably not. it's really, really tight because we're already halfway through this session and you haven't really gotten back to pit lane yet. So then you've got to get a change of tyres on, you've got to get that fresh tyre, you've got to get out there, you've got to get an outlap in, and then one flying lap, yeah, the tyre's not quite up there. But the critical thing, I think, is just picking your drafting partners. If you have a look behind you in your rear view mirror and you're on this third or fourth lap, you say take a breather on the tyre. You just don't carry as much speed through this middle section of the lap here. That'll just allow the tyre to breathe, allow it to come back in. A little bit of mistake there. I think that's Ross Buchanan, who's actually off the track at this point in time, and he's forced a few cars to sort of abort their lap. So for me, changing tyres, risky. Very, very risky because you lose your spot in the queue, you lose all that information you've gained. I think you're better off just one cool-off lap and go again.
Yeah, well, only 10 seconds remaining. If no one crosses the line in the next 10 seconds, that's going to be it. And it doesn't look like anyone is committing to finishing a lap now. So I think that is the deal set and done there for qualifying. And the grid for race 1 has been set. Josh Silcock in car 666 is going to be starting on pole position with a fantastic lap that was set right at the start of the qualifying session. He'll have second place in the championship, Ewan Baker, alongside him on the front row. James Corbin in third place has championship leader Cooper Prout for company on row number 2. Dylan Jordan and Arthur Brown will share row number 3. And then we have Alex Sprague and James McIver on row 4. The top 10, Scotty, rounded out by Avon Dunn and Corey Crossan.
Yeah, we'll move back to Mitchell Sparrow. We just mentioned was top of things in terms of practice. Not able to get the lap together is a fair way off what he was able to set there. Bryce Harding to start alongside in 12th. From here on back, it's Nico Cordier and Graham Wall. Wall was one of the last drivers to try and have a crack at a lap time. Unfortunately, couldn't put it together. Driver of the day from last week, Paul Booth, back to 15th in qualifying. Wasn't feeling confident. Justin Davies will line up alongside in the IoT Revolution e-racing car. Christopher Tipper had a reasonable session, was looking for some space on track. Billy Rowley to line up alongside. Rounding out the top 20 is going to be that of Matt Priest and Ross Buchanan.
Just a few more cars. Tim Sullivan and Henry Fires on the 11th row of the grid. And we did have Nico Scholes there in practice. He set a time, a 1:38.9, was quite competitive, but didn't set a time in qualifying and isn't showing any signs of going onto the grid. So shame on that front. It would have been interesting to see what Nico would have been able to do in the midst of this field. But we will have 22 guaranteed starters for this first race of the evening. Reminder, it's 12 laps and it's going to be over in the blink of an eye. Race 2 will be the longest of the 3, and then race 3 is the shortest. So it's all about setting yourself up for the night to come. Remember, it is a top 10 field invert for the start of race 2. Whoever finishes in 10th in this race is going to be starting on pole when the green flag drops next. Speaking of the green flag, it's about to drop here for race 1 at the Nurburgring Grand Prix Sprint Strecker. Revs rise, and Josh Silcock on pole position will lead us away. How does the standing start go? No traction control in this fixed setup, so a little puff of smoke from most of the drivers as they get it going. Silcock immediately moving over to try and block Ewan Baker's run, but it's a better start from the number 34 of Kiwi Sim Racing up the inside into the first corner, almost 3 wide as James Corbin tried to throw his own spanner in the works. Now they're side by side again, and this time Silcock has the inside for turn 2. Baker's trying desperately to find a place to slot in. If he can't do that, he's going to be swamped by the rest of the field coming. Cooper Prout maintaining 4th for the moment, but Ewan Baker desperately trying to keep the runner-up position from James Corbin.
And he's looking to try and slot in as best as he possibly can as well. Desperately needs some points. Spinner in the background and around as they go. I saw Arthur Brown was trading a little bit of paint with Sprague as well in the background as they got down through the arena section on lap 1. The hairpin for the first time tonight in heat, in anger, in bump and grind. And James Corbin is trying to tap out a message on the rear end of Ewan Baker.
The car spinning in the background a few moments ago was Corey Crossan. He's fallen down to 22nd now as Graham Wall has also had a problem and fallen all the way to the back. It's coming down the back straight now. A solid slipstream from James Corbin, but Josh Silcock starting to run away with it here. Fortunately, fortuitously timed with the circuit layout. They'll have the whole start finish straight to draft off him again. Seems like Cooper Prout's making up some good time in the chicane there.
Sprague didn't get a good run through the chicane. There was all out of control as he come out the other side. McIver's going to get into the side pedals of him. That was a door, and he's been shown the door as he leans his way through from James McIver. A little bit of door banging, rubbing his racing. That's sports cars, that's Toyota 86s. Have a look at the background of the shot as well, the bump drafting. These two are trying to push each other forwards. I think that was Corbin. Oh, they're going to have a go at each other down into turn number 1. Sprague was definitely on the offensive and defensive. It was Jordan who was pushing him down the start-finish straight, and they're not done with it yet. Cooper Prout and James Corbin are having a go at each other for third.
Yep, that's a nice over-under there from Cooper Prout. He'll get up the inside of Corbin into turn 3, but it's very easy to defend the position through this section. Corbin will have the inside and doors Prout wide ever so slightly. It was only light contact, but it could result in Prout losing another position as Arthur Brown gets squeezed onto the grass. Whew, this is getting intense here. Now Brown has to go defensive versus McIver, who tries around the outside of the hairpin.
And that was all triggered. There was just the lightest little bit of contact between Prout and Corbin, and it just upset Prout as he tried to double back. That opened the door for Brown. Well, now Brown's on the defensive as well. McIver's trying to slice and dice his way through, trying to carry some speed. They'll make it to the kitty litter. They'll just manage to pick up a cloud of dirt. Here is 86s. Here they are, New Zealand. Strap yourselves in. Race 1 of the night, and the elbows have already been shown. What have we got? Because remember, at the end of this one, we've got an invert coming, Reese. These guys are going to get angsty.
Oh, they are. McIver's going to get angsty right away there. He's deep in the chicane and bumps Arthur Brown off. Brown's going to get a slowdown from that, but the position is redressed from James McIver in the short term. Now Alex Sprague has 3 cars behind him, all fighting for the same piece of racetrack. Avon Dunn, Dylan Jordan, Nico Cordier, and Paul Booth, driver of the day from last round, is going to join them.
Yeah, so here's the big thing, and the difference between the real world versus iRacing is we get the first fastest lap of the day coming our way, 39.312. Don't forget, there is a prize for fastest lap of the day as well. In iRacing, if you're forced off there, and Brown was, and also Corbin's going to slow down, he's trying to serve as well, which just brought him right back into this group. Sorry, yeah, it was James Corbin. Just double checking my timing. Is if you get elbowed off into that runoff area, you have a slowdown penalty. You have to serve that. There is no live official that's going to look at that and go, no, he was forced out there, he is fine to retain his position. In the real world, he cut that chicane, and he didn't have much of a choice, did Brown. You'd be allowed to keep your position. That is one of the key elements in this. Sprague has made his way through. He's up to 4th at the moment. Now he is going to get the McIver effect, and there's someone around. Was that Jordan in the background?
It's Booth. Paul Booth. Wow, what a save, actually. That might deserve a replay, honestly. Booth has managed to recover and keep it going there. He was bumped wide in the hairpin. Just an incredible bit of action there. Mitchell Sparrow tried up the inside, and it didn't look like there was quite enough room. Well, for the moment, we'll keep our eyes peeled here on the front of the field as there's a slowdown there for James McIver. Oh, goodness me.
No, so that was actually race control talking to McIver at that point in time, and they said, right, for the contact of the chicane last lap, you have to redress behind Brown. And I think that's actually a great call, because he's not been time penalised, he's not been told to go through the pit lane, but he has been penalised for infringing there. And I think that serves the crime, because Brown had to serve a massive slowdown penalty. So he'll go all the way back to 12th spot, and Brown's cut the chicane again. He's got another one. Here we go. They're all still up. Look at the cars that are on the inside of the road. They all have slowdown penalties. They've all cut that chicane. We're going to be talking about this all night. And this is Sparrow and Cordier weaving, ducking, diving. This feels so much more like a boxing match than it does a car race.
Yeah, certainly does. Side-by-side continuing there between Dylan Jordan and Nico Cordier as things calm down in this infield section. Hopefully it calms down. We'll have a moment to look at that replay of what happened to Paul Booth. Big thanks to Cream Insurance on the replays here for this series. We'll see that Mitchell Sparrow gets up the inside of him and then taps him, but have a look at the way he recovers this. Another slide, just avoids getting into the other cars. That's some solid driving to keep it going after a slightly compromised situation.
How's the handiwork? That was pretty. That was really, really well done. And race control's also getting out there. Remember where we were just talking about ducking and weaving down the main straight? Cordier just got a warning for that. That's it. No more of that for at least the foreseeable future for him. Right, it has been aggressive. We've got a big breakaway up at the front end of the field, Reese, and that's important. That's how much they've been squabbling in behind these guys. So it is a 5-second breakaway for Silcock, Baker, and Prout. I think Baker's just happy to just let him go at the moment. He's just watching, just waiting. He'll bide his time, and he'll have a go maybe on the last lap. And that's our lead 3. So the podium are absolutely gone to the sunset. And then James Corbin. And at the moment, he feels okay. But I get the feeling he'll be watching that rear view like, oh, look at him again.
Yeah. Nico Cordier, that looked like straight up blocking to me. Race control might have another word to him. Yep, Mitchell Sparrow and Alex Sprague behind. They'll be getting a bit frustrated here. It's a difficult situation to be in as a driver when you're in the midst of a pack and you've got drivers trying to slipstream past you down the front straight. You know, there's a lot of give and take involved, I think. We see it in the way the front runners are battling there. There's another block to the inside from Cordier. He's trying desperately to hold on to this position. Don't forget, just a few places behind him, Billy Rowley sitting in P10. That is pole position for race 2. It's an incredibly close battle here, and it could decide who starts on the front row for the second race.
That does not look like a happy man, does it? He looks like he's sweating just a little bit. He is working hard. He's going to get some door banging more. Now Mitch Sparrow gets blocked coming onto the back straight away. And Nico Cordier is going not to be in the vote for driver of the day from his peers, but the fans might choose differently. 3 wide to the chicane. Sparrow with some cojones. My word.
That was great from Alex Sprague. He positioned the car perfectly, somehow managed to pull it up just in time. He'll have the inside then into the final corner, and finally Nico Cordier is not leading the train out of the last turn. And this time he sticks to the left side of the start-finish straight. That'll leave him open here. He's going to try and follow Sprague in the slipstream. This is such a tight fight. These guys are handling these things almost like they're F1 cars as Mitchell Sparrow tries to find the best line into the first corner. Nice defense from Sprague, maybe. They both slow up on the corner, and Mitchell Sparrow's right there to take advantage. Sweeps around him in turn 2.
Yeah, well, that was all caused by those two wanting to beat and bang the panels off of each other's cars. Now it's going to be Sparrow who gets the nose clear, blocks all the way in. Cordier and Sprague are going to bang panels, and here comes a horde of 86s in the background. And they are all lining up to have a crack at this one. Rowley's got 10th place locked up. Guess what? Paul Booth lurking in 11th spot. More paint traded by these guys. I just get the feeling it's getting to the point. Race control are probably on the verge of wanting to intervene in this one because it's on the line. If they dip a toe over that line, they're in trouble.
Yeah, it's an interesting intersection between road racing and oval racing when you come to a track like this with long straights, less powerful cars that really benefit from the slipstream. Pack racing inevitably ensues, and you've almost got to change your mindset. You need to try and stay in front as there's contact there. Billy Rowley almost sent off in the chicane, and Paul Booth and James McIver come together there. McIver, the one to go off the road, and he falls back to 15th place. Rowley, somehow through all of this, still holds P10.
Something just happened. Something happened with our lead group because Silcock has lost the lead, and Cooper Prout's gone basically past the pair of them. So Prout's got the lead, and Silcock just hopped on the radio and said, race control, I need you to have a look at that chicane. So something's just happened. So
it looks like we'll have a replay of that. It was contact between Josh Silcock and Ewan Baker on the way into the Vidal chicane. Baker trying to go for the lead, evidently. But Josh Silcock turning in a bit early. Contact there. Baker saves it, but Cooper Prout was right there to take advantage. Just stick the throttle pedal through the firewall, and you're in the lead by the time you get to the last corner.
That looks like just good sports car racing. So you're right. I do feel as if Silcock's probably the one that's turned in a fraction early. But to be honest with you, they all lost about the same. I reckon that's play on.
Yeah, then they're still all together in the pack. So potentially no harm, no foul, at the very least, if you're not talking about Ewan Baker's tyres with that slide. Here comes a run for the lead again from Josh Silcock. Geometric fastest line through that right-hander. If you're on the right-hand side, you'll get a shorter distance covered, and it looks like Prout's going to let him go into the chicane. He knows the game here. We've still got 5 laps to go in this race, and these guys are just going to be trading spots if they keep fighting. They'll lose time to the pack behind, which seems to be creeping a little bit closer. Dunn, Jordan, and Corbin seem to be working together nicely. At a track like this, you do want to save all of your moves for the final lap, because you get it done too early, you're just going to get passed back.
Yeah, that you will. Avon Dunn, though, is going to go a little bit defensive as they come out of the last corner and behind these guys as well. So these guys...
Oi!
Hang on. Right on the defensive line, and they're really starting to trade paint. And Race Control's also working on handling another incident at this point in time. So Prout slides down the inside, retakes that one away. Ewan gets fed a fender at turn 2. And I don't know about you, Reese, but there was some niceties, there was some pleasantries earlier on. That's been thrown out the window.
Yeah, I think we're going to be seeing some more extreme moves in the next couple of laps here. Silcock is more than content to try and give Cooper Proud a run for his money. Don't forget, he's battling in the middle of the top 2 of the championship here. So he does have that to consider. He could end up costing both of these drivers points at the end of the day. We'll just have to wait and see. But now onto the back straight once more. Who gets the best run into the corner? It's Silcock. He got to the apex first, but Prout gathers up the exit nicely. Baker, I think, is just going to sit back and watch these two duke it out for a bit.
Well, it was Cooper Proud who actually did that in the early running, so he might have saved up a little bit of time, just not taking the edge off them in the first sort of stanza of this fight. Silcock will close back down yet again. So again, I think these guys are just, it's nearly like a little bit of a game of rock, paper, scissors at the moment. If you throw rock early, well, of course, somebody's going to go ahead and throw paper and pay you back for that one. So it's about setting it up and just being smart about when you do it. You know, no point throwing rock early and just showing your hand. And I think they're all just sort of reading each other a little bit at the moment, and I think you're still right about that second group. They're just happy to work together. And the other thing is, lap times have fallen off a little bit. Last time by, basically the entirety of the front group have all fallen off about a second. There's a massive send at the moment in that second group as well.
That was a big slide from Cooper Proud on the exit of turn 1. Don't forget, the setup for this series curated by Real World Toyota 86 New Zealand champion Hugo Allen. There's no traction control on the setup in this. iRacing does allow you to use traction control and anti-lock brakes because those aids are usually present on the Real World car in American and international competition, but in New Zealand, no traction control. So the drivers do need to be careful on that go pedal.
Yeah, and that's one of the, also worthwhile pointing out, it's pretty similar with the Porsche 992 Cup car, which has got releases of as well, and the way that the series, the series locally get to govern those restrictions and how you're going to apply that to the car, and the options are there. And generally, it's something like a thumb drive that effectively just gets plugged into the car, and here's all your running settings and engine traction control and throttle mappings, and everyone then effectively gets the same sort of setup in each of those cars. And then from there on out, it's how you set the thing up and how you drive the thing individually. And you saw Silcock looked quite strong at the end of that back straightaway, but coming through the chicane, Prout's carrying really, really good speed over those curbs, and that's his biggest strength.
Yeah, he's nailing the final sector. Also note that on the entry to the final corner, he's riding the curb on the way into the corner. Silcock and Baker aren't necessarily doing that, so they have a slightly more stable platform, but they're not taking as wide a line into the last turn as Prout is, and that may end up proving a big difference maker here as they continue to run practically line astern. There's some changes happening in that second pack. Avon Dunn and James Corbin were running side by side through the opening corners. Hello, Hoon on my street. And Dylan Jordan has managed to jet away from them just a little bit, but I don't know if that's a good thing for Jordan. He's now all on his own. No slipstream to assist him, even from the drivers behind.
Yeah, so he's just looking to just sort of chill out in his own aspect at the moment. I just get the feeling Avon Dunn's just maybe worn or over-pressured the front tyres. It just seems like the car doesn't want to pivot into the corners anymore. He's also copped a couple of whacks on each of the corners. When Jordan went by, there was sort of a little bit of a tap, and this lap, James Corbin as well at turn 1 sort of made a little bit of contact, got in quite deep. So I get the feeling he's been used up a little bit, and long flowing corners, they will use those front tyres.
We're heading back to the battle for 9th here now. James McIver and Nico Cordier, 9th and 10th at the moment. Billy Rowley has been moved out of the way just a little bit, still sits in 11th. Arthur Brown on a recovery has made his way back up to 12th after his early troubles with the slowdowns. So some good stories to come out of this one. Bit more aggressive over the curbs there, and that has ruined the momentum into the final corner. It's forced defensive there from Arthur Brown, and Paul Booth stands a chance of getting back into 10th if he plays his cards right here. 2 laps to go. Currently Nico Cordier in the box seat for race 2 pole. As for the win here in race 1, Cooper Prout gets back ahead of Ewan Baker.
Yeah, but Ewan Baker's coming back at him a little bit. Now he's going to get the overlap down the inside as they head through the arena section. And here we go. You want to be on the inside here, but then you want the inside back at the right-hander on the other side. So it's going to be the long way round for Ewan Baker. The hairpin down here at the bottom is going to be another right-hander. One more lap left to run after this one. It's not the final lap, but they're just hammering each other. Little bit of paint traded. They're okay with this one. They want to lean on each other a little bit. Hey, I'm still here. Hey, I'm still a threat of getting down the inside. And, well, Baker's going to maintain the inside as they enter the chicane.
This is just costing them time, though. It is all well and good trying to fight hard for the lead coming onto the back straight here, but Baker's been sent a little bit past the curb there, and this could be what Josh Silcock needs. All of this time, Dylan Jordan, Avon Dunn, and James Corbin have been making up a few tenths a lap at least, and they might be on the back of them towards the end of the final lap. The top 3 need to think about that.
Well, it was 9/10 of a second, pretty much bang on a second. Last time by that Dylan Jordan took out of them. Done whatever he's done with his car, the tyres are starting to recover. These guys were disappearing in the rearview mirror only a couple laps ago. And you're right, they're now right there, but they're going to rely on a little bit of a miracle on the last lap to at least potentially think about a Hail Mary at the back end of the lap. White flag will wave, here we go. One more circuit and race 1.
This track is 3.63 kilometers in length, and they're going to use every single meter of that to try and keep their positions here. Cooper Prout, about 0.4 of a second is the lead at the moment, and all it takes is a small mistake here in this first sector, and he'll be in trouble. Baker and Silcock, though, for their credit, they do seem to be hanging back a little bit. They are waiting for the straight to really make the move.
Yeah, and Ewan's had a really, really strong arena section on this lap. So he is at risk of having a go. There was some paint traded on the previous lap. Race control said, hey, we're going to have a look at it between the first 2 races. We don't really think we can eliminate any issues. So that one will play with a little bit of a question mark over it. However they cross the start-finish line is how they'll line up for race 2. Remember, the invert's coming our way as well. So this is really, really important. Is he going to have a lunge down on the exit of the chicane? Well, it was Proud. It was a touch wide. He put 2 wheels in the grass.
Final run then into the Vidal chicane in race 1 here. The Corvettes NZ Toyota 86 E-Cup has produced fantastic racing all the way through, and we've been served up a nice dose of it here at the Nurburgring. Defensive from Prout into the chicane. Baker's going to carry a bit more speed. He's over the curb though. Slight loss of traction. A slowdown for Ewan Baker, and this is going to be difficult coming into the final corner. Cooper Prout's going to lead on the way out. Baker pulls over at the end. It's going to be Prout and Silcock, your top 2 from race number 1. Oh, Baker loses his position on the podium on the run to the line. A mere few thousandths between himself and Dylan Jordan.
But he did get the slowdown penalty served. He got that one served in time, and you would rather give up 1 spot than you would having to serve a 40-second penalty. That would demote you to the last spot on the lead lap. What a cracker for race 1.
A chat with our race 1 winner. Cooper Prout is with us now, leading the championship coming into this round. Cooper, it was important that you keep that momentum up, and that's what you ended up doing there. It was a solid fight with Josh and Ewan.
Yeah, that was a really good fight, really good race. Big thanks to Auto Moves. Yeah, but really looking forward to the rest of the races tonight.
Yeah, as are we. What's your goal going to be? Starting from 10th, I think you'll be working the slipstream. It's also the longest race of the night here, so yeah, plenty of time to plan your moves.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to be a tough race. Reverse grid's never really easy, but I just want to try and work forward as far as I can with just collect some more points for the championship.
And how's the car driving here? The Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit, notorious for having slightly less grip compared to its big brother, the Nordschleife to the north. The curbs are a bit of an issue as well. Are you handling those curbs right? Is there anything that you feel you need to change?
I feel like I need to look a bit more into that, but I feel like there is a bit of a lack of grip compared to practice. I feel like we were almost 2 seconds slower per lap in qualifying than we were to the race, but it's kind of tough. But every driver has it the same, so we have to work with it.
That you do. Well, congratulations on the win, Cooper. A great way to start off the evening. Hopefully, the best comes in race 2 as well. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Cooper Prout there, our winner from race 1. And now we're going to get into race number 2. Only really need to go through the top 10 as that's been inverted for this one. Nico Cordier finishing in 10th. We'll start on pole for this with James McIver joining him on the front row. That's going to be a good opportunity for McIver. Sprague and Sparrow are our second row with James Corbin and Avon Dunn row 3. Ewan Baker, Dylan Jordan, Josh Silcock and Cooper Prout round out our top 10. Need to keep an eye out on your clutch inputs here as they dump those clutches and away they go. There's a lot of wheel spin for Nico Cordier off pole position, but somehow he's managed to translate that into an incredible run off the line. McIver's in trouble with Alex Sprague now trying around the outside of the hairpin. Field comes into turn 1 for the first time in race 2. And it looks like Sprague is now going to have to worry a bit more about Mitchell Sparrows trying around the outside for third. We have James Corbin and Ewan Baker battling in there as well.
Yeah, and there was a big old slide for Sprague as he got through turn 2, as well as they settled down into the arena section for the first time in race number 2. Sparrow's going to try and get the nose just ahead of James Corbin. Ewan Baker's the one that's gotten the best getaway of our pro drivers, but I think the big thing was that whoever was alongside, or just in behind actually, started off at 3. McIver, again, this is the characteristic center of the guy. He just wants to have a crack in the 6-7 machine. How about that one for McIver? To the inside, he wants to get ahead. Now he's going to trade paint with Cordier.
Oh, banging doors again, and whoa, my goodness, trying up the inside there was Mitchell Sparrow, and that's going to be Nico Cordier around, and oh, Avon Dunn just T-bones him. Big damage. There's another spinner further back in the field as well. Corey Croson, his first laps have not been good tonight. And that's just caused a whole bunch of chaos for the rest of the field coming into the chicane. Ewan Baker trying to preserve 9th place as Paul Booth tries around the outside of him, gets it done. I am amazed that we didn't see more drivers off the track there.
Yeah, there is. Avon Dunn had a lot of damage, and I think he's trying to get back to pit lane. Yeah, he will. Graham Wall's got a meatball flag, as does Henry Fires. There's a few guys will be diving into pit lane. Tim Sullivan's going to slow down penalty as he comes onto the first chicane. I think he was the only one that actually picked up a slowdown penalty that time through. Silcock's going to try and cut his way back through. What happened to Ewan Baker? He was there and now he's gone.
Yeah, it looks like Baker may have just had to compromise himself in the midst of all of the chaos that happened out of that corner. He was right on the scene for that initial contact. He had to jump on the brakes actually because Cordier was spinning out of control right in front of it.
Yeah, and he's had to check up, and there's a lot of damage to his right rear corner, and his right rear brake light doesn't work anymore. He just got clipped, I think, in the middle of it. Yeah, just a light little bit of contact, unfortunately. So everyone is trying to get it down the road and try to make something of this, and, well, you kind of got to. You got to be aggressive, because this first couple of laps is the best opportunity to find time. The problem for Baker is that damage is going to be massive. He's going to have next to no straight line speed, and this is probably one of the worst tracks to have that.
Yeah, he's going to try his best to make up places, though. Can't get much tighter than that up the inside of Paul Booth there. Still holding on to 9th for now, but this is where you're going to see that lack of straight line speed come into play. Alex Sprague alongside, and he doesn't need to put much effort in to get alongside and ahead of Baker on the run into the chicane. It's amazing how much effect one incident can have on a whole race, but Baker is trying his best here to hold on to the spot. Maybe a little bit too much curb there. You want to avoid hopping the wheels through those curbs in these cars. As long as you have all 4 wheels on the ground, the car is planted, but there's a spin ahead. Billy Rowley.
Yeah, just been rotated into the final corner, so I think there might have been contact at the rear end of Rowley. Let's going to gift a few guys a spot. He's going to go tumbling down the list. What's the lap time for race number 2? 39.427. So about a tenth away from where we were in race 1 in terms of that fastest lap. So again, it's going to require aggression. My work from Cordier from outer space.
Yeah, and Dylan Jordan maybe none too happy with that as, oh dear, Ross Buchanan has had contact with Cordier as well, I think. Oh dear, this is just getting worse and worse as time goes on. Dylan Jordan spun, Nico Cordier spun, chaos in the midfield, and well, it looks like Rowley's going to be limping home, so will Cordier and Jordan. They get back up to speed there just in time for Christopher Tipper to make his way past them, and Cordier is unable to control his car there. I think that's suspension damage.
Yeah, I think it's going to be massive damage for him. Remember what I said before this race? It was either going to be fantastic or there was going to be chaos. Well, I think we got the latter.
Yeah, that we did, but things are looking reasonably stable in this top group here. James McIver leading by half a second over James Corbin and Mitchell Sparrow. Silcock and Prout, our top 2 from the previous race, inverted, will be chasing them down here. Prout as deep on the brakes as you like. It seems like Silcock got a slightly better run through the chicane there. Battle going on for 6th in the background as well. Alex Sprague's just made his way past Arthur Browen, but Arthur's trying to get him back here. Paul Booth sweeping in round the outside of the final corner. I mean, it's very easy to see why Booth got the Driver of the Day award last round. He's not afraid to get his elbows out.
No, and he watched Brown and Sprague go at each other on the inside. He just went, all right, I'm going for the momentum, boys. Have fun with that. And it's also going to be Ewan Baker trying to line these guys up. Everyone trying to pin each other to the inside on the run into turn number 1. Remember, traction control as they drop through the middle. And Brown, I was just about to say, traction control. You've got to be careful with tyres off the ground. And Brown, unfortunately, that one bounces and gets away from him. It's still going to be Sprague and Booth going toe-to-toe. Booth is going to have the inside when they get to turn 3. Finally, is he going to try and take the line away? Yes, he will. Now Sprague, has he got an opportunity to fight back? He managed to maintain overlap. They'll come out through 4 and on the run to the hairpin at 5, and finally Booth gets away. Now Sprague's on the defense.
Yeah, Ewan Baker trying to find his way into 7th. And it looks like Paul Booth is going to be safe there in 6th for the moment, but they're going to have to start working together if they want to catch up to that front pack. It looks like Cooper Prout has actually lost touch with the front pack there. He sits in 5th, more than a second back. I'd be interested to see exactly what happened there. It obviously happened while we were looking at all of the other chaos going on. Worth pointing out as well, the incident for Arthur Browen there, the slide that he had out of the first corner, that's given Justin Davies 9th place, and I think we'll have a new contender for hardest charger of the day. Davies started in 22nd and he's now in the top 10.
Yeah, so unfortunately race 1 not going his way. He'll turn that around in race number 2. That much is certainly for sure for Prout. He is now out of that draft group, and now he's got some work to try and do. If these guys just ahead of him fight just a little bit, and Silcock might actually just sit here and play nicely unless the 2 guys ahead of him start to battle, because he'll want to try and build that margin and rob Cooper Prout of any opportunity to bring himself into contention. Well, that's going to go the opposite way, because it's going to be Corbin, who then has the same incident that Brown had a lap ago. They'll trade paint as they go down through turn 2, and the run to the flick back at turn 3 means that Silcock will get to the inside, and James Corbin finally relinquishes that one.
He does indeed, and now the task for Josh Silcock is to try to catch up to James McIver and Mitchell Sparrow. Keep an eye on those windscreen banners as well, at the very top of the windscreen. Full-time series drivers have the black banners. Mitchell Sparrow has a white banner. That means that he is a wild card entry, which has been chosen from the New Zealand sim racing scene as a test bed for the main drivers in this championship. Hand-picked drivers from Toyota Gazoo Racing, Care Vets, or Mark Mallard from Cream Insurance. They will not be eligible for points at the end of the day. So while they are battling hard for the lead, really, if you're in 3rd, you're racing for 2nd right now.
Yeah. And it's really, really important that they're sort of just aware of that. So McIver's obviously out here because he just wants to have fun and really throw it around. Sparrow's about the same, but these boys will be trying to not trade paint as much as they possibly can, rob a few other guys of opportunities. But then again, you know, you're out here, you may as well have some fun with it. And realistically, no holds barred. And that's Toyota 86 racing in a nutshell. There's opportunities to win races. You're going to have a damn well crack. And, well, McIver, that's just been his brand of racing thus far.
Certainly has had plenty of cracks, but his hardware and other issues besides have prevented him from really getting the results that we expected of him. Nico Cordier, meanwhile, our pole sitter, involved in incidents and now a lap down on the timing. He's been given a black flag by race control, evidently a couple of rules violations in the midst of all of that. So that's going to be a rough job for Nico. The fight then into the hairpin at the tail end of this train. Cooper Prout has still managed to latch on, but Corbin, Silcock, Sparrow and McIver not too far away. We've still got plenty of this race left to run.
Yeah, 15 laps. This is the longest one of the day as well. So anyone who picked up damage in those opening exchanges, they've got the longest to go to try and drag their car to the finish line. And I've just been having a little bit of a look up and down the field. And we've talked about Ewan Baker having a little bit of damage, but more importantly than that is Alex Sprague's actually got a lot of damage to the front end of his car now as well, with a little bit of contact as these guys get aggressive at the front. Sparrow slides on by through the chicane. Looking after the tyres as well, I also think this will be really, really relevant to the race at large. And best part is, new fastest lap of the day as well, Reese. So we're going to see this exchange in the final corner. Goes the way of Josh Silcock. 39.139 means he beats out Prout from race 1.
Yep, and that just increases the challenge then for race 3. Can anyone beat that time from Josh Silcock and nab themselves a prize from Apex Lab? We'll have to wait and see. Our leaders all together into the first corner, side by side between Prout and Corbin, and that's the downside of that dip in the middle of the hairpin there. You get your car behavior just a little bit wrong, you get on the power at the wrong time, and you will go slipping. And once again, Prout loses touch with the pack, but he was able to make up that gap before. He could certainly do it again.
Relied on a little bit of aggression from the guys actually ahead of him. So that's certainly going to continue to play into this one. I think Silcock's also just been a little bit circumspect in the way that he's gone after this thus far. Does have the fastest lap of the race, but I think he's also just been protecting the tyre a little bit. One of the big things that happens is you switch off all the driver assists, well, then it's on you to prevent little micro locks and little scuffs and little slips and slides in the tyre. Because if you overhit those rears, well, the car's not going to be wanting to feel very planted. But we already talked about it. Lots of long radius corners around here. That puts a lot more load through the front tyres. I genuinely believe that we are seeing some evolution of these guys as they sort of can't keep the pace up as this race goes on. I think the front tyres are going away from them. They'll get a fresh set again for race number 3. So it will reset and we'll have an opportunity once again. But in the meantime, anyone who's just been a little bit circumspect, and James Corbin not going to be circumspect on James McIver into that last corner. He's going to have a red hot crack at him. And momentum goes around the outside for McIver. So anyone who's just looked after their front tyres, they might just all of a sudden come back to this one. And think about Cooper Prout. He's not been in this battle. So he's had the opportunity to run his own race the whole time. That actually could be an advantage. Yeah, so again, just patience. But the problem is, you know, if you wait too long, realistically, it's track position becomes time advantage. If you're at the lead and you're not fighting anyone, that's what we've seen across the races so far, is that you're not losing time to battling people. So track position becomes field spread, and you don't want to be caught out by that field spread. If you've got pace, you might be able to reconnect, but that's laps out. You could be overtaking cars and progressing your way down the field. So he's managed to latch back onto these guys, and I do feel without some sort of intervention of battling or elbows out or doors. Oh, Corbin might have just got the inside barrier at the last corner there. He tried to really use the ability from that outside curve to turn a long way in. I think he actually might have clipped it. I think there might be some damage on the right front corner of car number 07.
Yeah, he actually glanced off the pit lane attenuator, the end of the barrier. That was a lucky escape there. He was able to keep it rolling, but that's put him in a bit of trouble here if he does have front end damage and that's ruined his straight line speed, he will need to latch on to these guys and stay in touch. But Cooper Prout gets up the inside at turn 2. He's going to try it again at turn 3 here, and Corbin is forced defensive. Another door fed to him, and it looks like he may... Oh, I thought for a second he was going to give it up, but Prout is the one that turns in late and tries to get the run down the straight. Now both of them are starting to lose touch with the top 3.
I genuinely believe that actually might have been Cooper Prout going, oh, I got in a little bit hot there at turn 3. I'll give this one back and we'll go it again. And the other thing to consider as well is the more these guys fight, they are starting to lose a little bit of touch with the top 3. So you've got Silcock and McIver are actually looking to work together quite a lot here. And they're just being patient, working with each other and running their own time. So they will look to try and break this one wide open. This is Sprague, Ewan Baker and Paul Booth. You've got to remember that Sprague and Baker both do have damage. Front end damage for Sprague, right, rear damage for Ewan Baker. And Paul Booth's just been running with these guys again. Not fighting. These guys are just playing smart.
Yeah, it's consistent from them, and you're not seeing as many wild moves as we've seen at the front. Meanwhile, Arthur Brown past Bryce Harding there into the chicane, and Harding's going to somehow get back around him there on the exit. We've got Nico Scholes, Justin Davies, and Matt Priest involved in this fight as well. This is for the last couple of positions in the top 10. And Bryce Harding, round the outside of Arthur Brown, is going to retake it across the line. There's definitely going to be a 3 wide into turn 1, maybe even 4 wide.
Well, Skulls is looking to try and get some overlap on Brown here, and you mentioned it might be 4 wide. Well, it's back to 2 wide. Now it's back out to 3 wide. Davies has got down to the inside. Is he going to get into the back end of Harding? They are 4 wide at turn 1 at the Nurburgring. How about that? Brown's going to sweep back in. 3 wide on the run to turn 2. This is NZ86s, and this is how they serve him up. Brown again sends the crisscross on both Nico Skulls and Justin Davies and Priest. Well, he's just sitting back there holding the camera. He is going to be recording the highlights because that is going on Facebook this week, I feel.
Absolutely. Some fantastic racing going on. And, you know, if I'm at the wheel and I'm at the back of a pack where they're fighting hard, I just enjoy the show. Obviously, I'm focusing on my turn-in points. I'm trying to keep as much of an advantage as possible. But sometimes good racing is just good racing. You can be a driver and a spectator at the same time.
Yeah, something's happened to James Corbin on this lap. He's all of a sudden dropped a long way back. I think there might have been a little bit of contact with Prout. Whether or not he got checked up or Prout got down the inside of him. But either way, Prout's now through and Corbin's out of the draft train. So he's in a world of hurt currently, and he needs to run his best laps to the end of the race. By the way, they crossed the start-finish line this time. There'll be 5 to go. This has felt like a long one. And, well, there's been a lot of battling up and down the field. And I tell you what, I don't want to be in that battle pack back there with Harding, Skulls, Brown. Gee, Brown is getting defensive all over again on Justin Davies. This pack is going to explode again in a second.
Certainly is. Just reviewed what happened to Corbin. Yes, Prout got past him at the southern hairpin, but then on the the right-hander coming onto the back straight, Corbin caught the grass and was sent wide. So that's the reason why he is behind those guys at the moment. Racing going on again into turn 1. The battle between Arthur Brown and Justin Davies coming to the fore here. Brown loves flying up the inside at turn 2 here. He's just able to get that rotation that he needs and fling his way through the apex at a better speed than everyone else. Davies going to have another go at him there, as looks like Corbin and Prout are back together, and Prout is back to 5th. So plenty of racing going on all throughout this field, but I don't know. Will they be able to catch back up to the top 3 at this rate?
Well, they still do have a fair amount of time left over in this race as well. And remember those tyres, whether or not they're going away just a fraction. Sparrow ran a 7.11 on his last time by. I'll just go and have a quick look at what the lap time was. It was a 39.3 for Cooper Prout. So that says they've got enough time to absolutely go back after them. I think there was something from race control, actually. I think that was an order from Prout. I don't know what lap number the incident. I didn't quite catch that call from race control, but there was a redress ordered between Prout and Corbin.
There was a bit of contact between Prout and Corbin when Prout made his initial pass. So
that might be it.
Yeah, that might be it indeed. 4 laps to go, and Mitchell Sparrow in the wildcard entry has the teammates of Josh Silcock and James McIver working together to try and blast past him here. This little bit of side-by-side, 3 wide, could potentially bring Corbin and Prout back into it, but McIver playing it smartly, staying back behind, allowing Josh Silcock to have a go at Mitchell Sparrow. Gotta wonder, what's the best strategy here for getting around him?
Yeah, I think just smarts. Give them every opportunity to have a go at each other and just use each other up just a little bit. Corbin and Prout are lining up again, and that battle through turn 1, that's enough time for those guys to potentially drag themselves back into it. 3.5 laps left to run. There is probably just enough time if Corbin and Prout work together, but again, they've got to work together. They've traded paint a few times. It's probably not going to happen. So, yeah, setting the move up, tricky. I think it's probably going to have to come from McIver. Actually, maybe a little bit of bump drafting and teammate assistance working together between Silcock and McIver, because Sparrow's just driving a really, really clean pair of heels race. It's been very circumspect. Again, nice, clean, accurate that I've enjoyed from Sparrow in this one.
Yeah, can always count on that from Mitchell Sparrow. He's an incredibly skilled driver, and well, for the moment, driving in the lead, just cruising at the moment. He doesn't have to worry about too much of an attack from Silcock and McIver as things stand. However, 3 laps to go. Will soon become 2 and then 1. That will dial up the pressure substantially. The fight between Sprague, Baker and Booth is continuing to progress nicely. Bit of a narrower exit there from Sprague, which turns out to be slightly better for the run down the start-finish straight. Booth, I think, is more than happy to just let these guys tow him along at the moment. Maybe he's just changed his mind to move to the inside into turn 1. Can he get it done on Ewan Baker? Baker slightly earlier on the brakes. Booth has the inside for turn 1, but the move is not going to be complete. That's why I love this circuit so much. The flow of one corner to the next, it means that side by side is always a possibility.
Yeah, and switchbacks, which is also, they're just the best thing in racing, aren't they? It's a switchback move where you let some guy attack the entry of the corner and you focus on that exit. It is a joy to watch because it also relies on a timing element. When does pull the switch back and how early, and then again, how much you can drive the car out. Sometimes the checkup and realistically a block pass, just parking it on the apex, is also a joy in racing. That's what this circuit really enables these drivers to do. And it becomes a balancing act, a game of chess. When do you pull one section of the move? When are you setting it up? And oftentimes, letting a guy block you can actually work in your favor as well. So it's racing smarts when you get into a race like this at a fast-flowing racetrack. A little bit of a mistake now for Nico Skulls as he got his way past Bryce Harding, and Harding will take that run back by, pick up another spot back into 9th for Bryce Harding.
Yep, Nico Skulls, another one of our wildcard entries here today. Remember, he didn't take part in qualifying. He's been racing from the back of the grid for the most part, but he's taken advantage of the chaos that erupted in the opening laps of this one to find his way into the battle for 9th. And Bryce Harding, I think that's a slowdown being served there. Oh yeah, too much curb at the chicane for both cars. Harding gave up the time early, and now Nico Skulls probably serving it in the wrong place there on the exit of the final corner. That'll give the position back to Harding, no problem, as we focus back in on the top 3. Cooper Prout and James Corbin still scrapping over 4th place, maybe costing themselves some time there.
I think Brown just came to pit lane. I'm not seeing a penalty. I don't know what for, but he's coming to pit lane. I don't understand what that one is for, and he's actually missed his stall. But either way, one driver into pit lane and taking that circuit. Second last lap of the race. There will be one more lap after this one, so all of a sudden it becomes a little bit more important. By the way, Cooper Prout just got the job done on James Corbin. The problem is they're probably a touch too far back at 2.5 seconds off the pack ahead.
Yep, white flag will be in the air when they cross the line next. And now Josh Silcock and James McIver will have it all to play for ahead of them. A little bit further behind Sparrow than they'd like here, but that, by the same token, gives them space to build up the momentum in the slipstream, and they can hang off the back of him out of the final corner. It's any question which of these drivers is going to finish on top. We are about to find out. Just under 2 minutes worth of racing left to cover. 15 laps on the cards, and we're about to start the final one. Take care to avoid the attenuator at the start of that pit lane barrier. That Armco has claimed many a victim over the years. A flash of the lights from Josh Silcock. He's letting Mitchell Sparrow know his intentions.
Yeah, and it's just getting in his head. Really challenge him. Make sure that he's willing to block. Make sure that he's willing to cover you. It doesn't matter. This lap's all that really counts now. How's the braking from McIver? Late, aggressive in a turn one. That's probably the best opportunity on the lap. So now Silcock's going to outthink Mitchell Sparrow ahead of him. But then again, somebody's probably in his ear. He probably knows. He knows he doesn't need to win this one on the racetrack. He knows that Sparrow ahead of him's got that white windshield banner. He knows he's a challenger driver that's coming in from the real world and looking to just mix things up. There's no points that go the way of Mitchell Sparrow. So whilst he crosses the finish line first, that's all for glory. The race win and the point standings will go the way of Silcock. And I think they're actually thinking and playing this one very smart. Well done, boys. Didn't pick up on that one.
Yeah, it's a solid call from Silcock and McIver, but that doesn't prevent them from fighting with each other into the final corners. They will obviously be wanting to take those top honours. James McIver has yet to win a race in this finals series due to the various issues that we've expounded upon over the last few rounds, but it would be nice for him to come away with a maximum points finish in race 2 here. He's not quite close enough to go for it on Silcock, though. No movement from our front group into the final couple of corners, and it looks like, oh, that's a slightly better run for James McIver. He's going to try and go for it in the final corner. No, nice response from Josh Silcock. Up ahead, it's Mitchell Sparrow who's going to take the win on the road. Oh, okay, hang on a minute.
The black flag.
Oh. Not ideal.
I just had a quick look. Arthur Brown, I was thinking, I went and did some digging. I think Arthur Brown actually might have had something to do with a penalty. I was thinking there was potentially a penalty for incident point infringements. I thought potentially, well, Alex Sprague has definitely gotten a drive-through penalty, and I do think that's for hitting the incident point tally.
That is going to conclude things for the second stanza of this evening. You're watching the CareVets NZ Toyota 86E Cup, a fantastic first couple of races here. Before we get started for race number 3, Scott Rankin is stood by with the second place finisher from race 2, Josh Silcock.
Yes, Josh, another stunning race for you, and speed's been shown, mate. That looked actually quite challenging between yourself and James McIver. Was there a little bit of a conversation in the team about how you guys were managing that? Are you aware that Mitchell Sparrow is obviously not competing for points in this one?
Yeah, me and James were working together quite nicely. So yeah, cheers to James for being nice to me the whole race. Yeah, with Mitchell, we obviously, he's not in the championship, so we decided to sit, especially when the other two boys behind James and they had to readdress and gave us a nice gap. So yeah, to pull away and then just sit behind Mitchell for the rest of the race.
Mate, how's the tyre wear been to handle? It looks like the cars are quite quick in the opening sort of 2-3 laps, and then after that, there's probably about half a second, 3/4 of a second that tyres sort of go off. What's it like been feeling the grip of the car out and that balance after those first couple of laps where it's lightning quick?
Yeah, obviously the first few laps are quicker. Towards the end, it kind of balances itself out. We obviously weren't pushing, massively in the last few laps sitting behind Mitchell. We were just kind of biding our time, watching the laps go down, so I didn't really feel too much of a grip difference. But in that first one, when the three of us were pushing up the front, it was definitely noticeable and starts to get a little bit sideways and start a lot of understeer. So yeah.
Mate, big bank of points coming in this week. Obviously, it's not necessarily gone all your way to the championship thus far. It's just focusing on getting those big points and doing everything you can over these next 2 rounds, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We had the unfortunate suspension breakage last week, which surprised me a lot, considering the speed it was. So it would have been nice to, bank that one as well and be right up there in the championship. But I think, it was 4th equal coming into this race. So, it's nice to bank 2 good races first and then hopefully another good set of points in this next one.
Finally, has James told you how much of a dive bomb he's sending on you on lap 1 of this one?
Oh, I mean, from the one he did in that race, we'll have to just wait and see.
Mate, make sure that he gets absolutely elbowed all the way back to the garage after this one tonight, mate. Thank you very much for your chat, Joss, and good luck in race number 3.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Lovely
Mate.
stuff.
You can't ever let them get away, Reese. When the teammates are going at each other and being aggressive as they are, there's always going to be that little bit of a fun interaction. But, you know, they work together really, really nicely in that one.
So we'll see what comes to the fore here in race 3. No safety cars thus far tonight, but I'm sure there'll be potential for it despite the relative shortness of this final race. Just a few seconds remaining on the grid timer, and now it's up to everyone one last time to get that clutch pedal in, make sure that you've set your launch revs properly for the cleanest start you can get. How much smoke are we going to see thrown up here as the green flag flies for race 3? Big wheel spin from a few drivers in our top 4.
Here we go.
But Mitchell Sparrow already under attack here from Josh Silcock. He'll have the inside for the first corner.
Yeah, but it's going to be McIver who's going to try and go the long way around on the outside. Cooper Prout tries to get the nose and gets a little bit chopped off. James Corbin manages to slot in really nicely as well. Paul Booth's going to get to the inside of Corbin, and that's the battle for 5th sort of spot at this point in time. It's going to be McIver who's going to try and go down the inside of Sparrow at turn number 3. His teammate managed to get through. Silcock to the lead, but here they go for P2, P3, P4. It's just about still double file most of the way through the field.
Mitchell Sparrow is so good at preserving corner speed. That's what I've always noticed from him. He never lets you get away with it if you're alongside him. He'll try for the outside in the hairpin here, but the outside line doesn't usually work on the way in there. So that's going to be Silcock and McIver 1 and 2 at the front of the field with Sparrow attacking them. Cooper Prout and Paul Booth rounding out your top 5. A good gain from Booth here initially, and he has got the championship leader coming into this round in his sights. Ewan Baker and Bryce Harding, brief little side by side there through that section, but Baker will come out ahead and he will have the slipstream off of James Corbin. How much of an attack is Harding and Skulls going to put on him here into the chicane?
Yeah, Harding's really looking to try and get the elbows out on lap number 1. Corbin's trying to go down the inside. He's going to have contact with Booth. He's going to cut back across the chicane. Ewan Baker's going to skate on through. A bunch of them are going to scatter on the run to the final corner. Booth is serving a slowdown penalty as well. Skulls trying to get to the inside in the battle for 5th with Ewan Baker. They will bang doors just a little bit. There's a breakaway of 4 cars at the front, and then it's just an absolute melee. I feel like this is the Middle Ages. Break out the joust. It's time to absolutely get amongst it.
Get on your horses and ride them as hard as you can into turn 1. Ewan Baker defensive from Skulls and Harding, but Harding with a huge run in the braking zone gets alongside Baker. He's shuffled wide though by Nico Skulls. He will get the position in the end through turn 2, but that's resulted in a bit of a split, a schism in our top 10. The top 4 breaking away. Everyone from 5th down to 17th is within a second of each other or less, and the fight is continuing between Harding and Skulls. Going to bring Justin Davies right into it as well. What a recovery it has been for Justin Davies. Race 1 did not go his way, but he was the hardest charger in the first race, and he will find his way solidly into the top 10 once again. Crowson and Sprague are making up good time as well. Sprague currently sits up 5 places, looking to make it up 6 as he's racing with Dylan Jordan.
Yeah, he's going to try and go around the outside of the first part of the S's here, which will become the inside, but it's going to be the shorter way around the racetrack, which means you can't carry the momentum onto the back straight away. Sprague has already lost that spot back out to Dylan Jordan. The battle packers just ahead of them are still going at each other. Little bit of damage on the rear end of Bryce Harding's car from something that happened on lap number 1. He's going to yield the spot to Nico Skulls on the way into the chicane. Who's going to cut the chicane? Who's going to pick up a dreaded slowdown? And who's going to find the grass on the other side? Skulls is going to block and box in Bryce Harding. He wants to hang on to this spot. Baker's got clear at the head of this group. He's up to 5th. Then it's the melee for 6th, and here they all come. Justin Davies is on the back of this one. Corey Crowson has had a torrid night at the office. He would love a great race 3.
Certainly would. Qualified 10th for race 1, only has a 14th and a 12th to show for it from the first 2 races today. Prout, that is a contender for the fastest lap of the night now. 1:39.085 as he makes his way past Mitchell Sparrow into 3rd.
That is the fastest lap of the night. It previously was a 39.139 from Silcock in the last one. Goes into the zeros. Will we see a 38 before we get to the end of the night as well?
That is the question. It's later in the afternoon, so the track temperature should start cooling back off again. It's currently at 27 Celsius. It was 24 at the start of race 1. So a few degrees warmer, maybe a tiny bit slower than the drivers would ideally like, but there's still great potential for fast laps if you manage to play the slipstream right. Look at this fight here. This pack is incredible. Once again, stretching from 6th down to 21st now. Even Dunn all the way at the back of this train. He's got about 6.5 seconds, all of which is covered by other Toyota 86s.
Yeah, there's very little wiggle room at this point in time. And remember, we've already talked about looking after your tyres. Well, this is the shortest race of the night. The penalty for perhaps just leaning on them and cooking the fronts just a little bit isn't all that bad here in race number 3. Now have a look at them as they dice their way through the chicane. Massive air for Corey Crowson. Massive air for James Corbin. Both of those guys are going to pick up slowdown penalties. They'll serve him on the main straight. Corbin runs wide. He'll let Sprague through as they come out of the final corner. He's trying to serve it early so that he can carry momentum down the front straightaway and use that slipstream to find something back. Sprague has been on the aggression in race number 3. And that'll be Corey Crowson just ahead of him with a slowdown penalty to serve on the run to turn 1.
Cooper Prout improves the fastest lap only by a couple of hundredths, but looks like consistency is on Prout's side in race number 3. He is now with that front pack now. He and Mitchell Sparrow, well, I guess Sparrow's going to stick the nose out and say, no, I would like to finish P3 here today, thank you very much. Prout says, no thanks, I'm going to retake it. Silcock and McIver, meanwhile, looking in their mirrors like, this is good news for us.
Yeah, looking to run, looking to hide if they possibly can. Sparrow's going to challenge him down to the hairpin once more. At least filling that rear view mirror with the front end of his car. Corey Crowson failed to serve slowdown penalty in time. He'll have a penalty to serve in pit lane as a result. So he tried to get rid of that slowdown penalty through the chicane, failed to serve it, and well, you go from giving up a couple seconds to giving up a whole lot of seconds is his penalty.
Yeah, that's probably going to force him out into 21st at best. Tim Sullivan and Billy Rowley are the only drivers at the back of the field that aren't involved in that huge pack, and looks like they'll be having some issues, especially with Corey Crowson inevitably joining them there at the back of the running order. Cooper Prout continues his very aggressive entries into this final corner. Is that going to translate into the run he needs onto the start-finish stretch? Picks up a little bit of the gravel there, both Prout and Sparrow. Across the line again, it looks like Ewan Baker is one of the fastest of this pack here as Crowson jumps into pit lane. And it's almost side by side between our leaders. I want to keep an eye on Baker there in 5th. He has got the track all to himself, and as these guys are scrapping, he's making up time hand over fist.
Yeah, 4 to 4.5 tenths of a second out of the lead group on that last lap. He needs to gain time, and the other critical factor is Cooper Prout's going to have a bad race somewhere in the mix. If anything, Ewan Baker needs to see him have at least 2 in the final 4 races of the season. There's still 3 more races to come next week. It's not all over, it's not all signed, sealed and delivered, but if Cooper Prout just finishes inside this top 4, he'll be happy. There's probably not a lot that anyone else can do about it in the final round, and he's just going to show a clean pair of heels. That's his only goals from the final 4 races of this championship.
Yeah, consistency has been on Cooper Prout's side throughout this final series, and you know this is just the last stanza of the action here in the NZ Toyota 86 E-Cup. There was a whole round of initial tournaments and semi-finals before this final series began. You're looking at the drivers that were able to make it through all of that, so they're certainly not wanting for pace. And Ewan Baker on board here through the chicane. You see how aggressive he is over those curbs. You need to ride those bumps there to get the best run in the final sector of this circuit. A smooth run out for Baker, who is looking desperately to get some consistent top results here and challenge Cooper Prout for that championship. Prout, one of the fastest of the group there, but Baker 400ths faster with no slipstream, or at least very little. Almost 3 wide on the way into turn 1. Prout on the outside. Silcock goes to the lead.
Yeah, that he will. So he gets aggressive now. And McIver's going to have to nearly play the buddy card. He's getting aggressive, and it's nearly to be defensive. Mitchell Sparrow takes a look at the inside of Cooper Proud, and Ewan Baker sits in the background and licks his lips. He wants to see these guys go at each other, and go at each other they have. Now just barely tags into the slipstream. He's under a second now behind Mitchell Sparrow. He will play a factor at the back end of this one. Skulls has found a turn of speed as well. He is also starting to track towards this lead group.
Yeah, Nico Skulls hasn't actually gotten a valid lap time down yet in this race. He's got off tracks on every single lap so far, but unofficially, a 139.3 on the last lap. That is on pace with our leaders, if not a little bit better than our top two. Silcock and McIver setting mid to high 139s in the previous laps, with Cooper Prout and Mitchell Sparrow getting into the low 1 minute 39s. So potentially we should look for Nico Skulls and Bryce Harding to become a part of this long line at the front of the field. Baker continuing to make up time here. He is the fastest of the field here.
Yeah, Nico Cordier, though, his bad day goes from bad to worse. He gets rotated into the barrier. A little bit of contact, unfortunately, with Paul Booth, but his day will be done. Meatball flag, and race number 3 means that his final race of the night ends in much the similar fashion as race number 2, but that gives us an opportunity to have a look back at our lead pack once again. And I tell you what, Sparrow's just not going anywhere. He's going to be a part of this fight to the very, very end.
Oh, that's an aggressive dive from Cooper Prout, and Josh Silcock saw him coming there, ran wide, left a little space at the first hairpin, but Prout, potentially saw an over-under beckon there, but James McIver parking it on the apex to stop the momentum there. And Baker, you can officially say, is a part of this fight now. Look at how close he's gotten.
Yeah, right in and amongst this one. And there'll be 2 laps left to run at the back end of this one. That's 2 opportunities to be aggressive. Sparrow feels like having a go at Cooper Proud. Everyone is trading blows. We said it was a boxing match earlier on when Nico Cordier was getting aggressive. I think it's gotten beyond that. It's now starting to be blows traded left, right, and center. These guys are throwing haymakers at each other, and someone's going to hit the canvas.
Let's see who in the end. It's going to be 2 laps to go when they cross the line next. The afternoon sun glinting off these cars. About 4:45 in the afternoon in sim time. Meanwhile, further back in the field, Arthur Browans had to tow. Avon Dunn and Ross Buchan have both lost places as it's rear-end contact there. Sparrow getting into Prout. Somehow, they managed to get out of the corner all right, but Baker now sees a chance at a position here. It looks like he's not going to go for it, though. He's obviously confident in Mitchell Sparrow's abilities to drag him back up to that top 3.
Well, I think the bigger thing is that he'll know there'll be damage to the front end now of car number 71, and Mitchell Sparrow might be suffering a little bit in terms of straight line speed. 2 final laps from the Nurburgring sprint tracker. 2 final laps, 2 final opportunities to again get down the inside. McIver's been king of the dive bomb so far, and now Cooper Prout will add his name to the haymakers that are being thrown. Round the outside of turn 3. It's going to be bravery. It's going to make it really, really difficult. Good run from McIver. He'll hang on to the inside line. Here comes the crisscross.
Yeah, Cooper Prout, though, unable to go anywhere on the apex. He's a bit earlier on turn in for the right-hander, and it doesn't give him the run that he needs into the hairpin. And looks like Sparrow and Baker have managed to latch onto the back of them once more. All in a line, our top 5 making their way back onto the Grand Prix layout of this circuit. Who's going to come away with the win here? It could be any of the drivers on screen at the moment, maybe even a couple further back if there's a coming together. Nico Skulls and Bryce Harding, we can't forget about them.
Alex Sprague's also been cutting his way through the field in this final race. Gets his way to 8th before we start the final lap of the day. Prout didn't carry momentum off of the chicane into the back straightaway. Is Sparrow going to go side by side with him through the chicane? Manages to back out. McIver nearly had Cooper Prout to his inside as he went to turn in, then thought about it, had to sort of readjust the steering wheel. Prout backed out eventually. Here comes the white flag. One final lap for the sprint tracker here, Reese. It is on at turn 1.
It will be a great exit from the final corner for Josh Silcock, though. It looks like he'll be reasonably safe on the run down the start-finish straight, but Cooper Prout will be keeping our eyes on here. Championship leader coming into this round. It's defensive from James McIver. Prout's going to have to find a long way around or switch to the inside. Big dive up the inside of turn 1, and Prout will force McIver wide. It's interesting, though. You're able to carry the momentum regardless, and McIver keeps defending second place. Now Mitchell Sparrow says, I might want to have a go. 3 wide into turn 3. Let's go. All across the curb there for Mitchell Sparrow. Might have picked up an off-track there. Somehow, James McIver stays ahead, but Prout's been compromised at the right-hander, and Ewan Baker's going to get by him.
Here comes Sparrow, gets to the inside of McIver. Ewan Baker's going to try and line the pair of them up and have a go. More paint traded on the final lap of the night. Second to last round. Fourth and final race of the season. Final of round number 3 in the final series. Sparrow finds some speed on the final lap of the race, on the final lap of the night. Can James McIver find a run on his way? Perhaps back to second on the overall. Silcock is just gone. He said, boys, you scrap. You just have some fun back there. I've got a race to win.
Yep, 2 second places thus far for Josh Silcock tonight, and it looks like he'll be clear to come away with the win. But Cooper Prout still having a go with Ewan Baker. These two are battling for the championship, so it's important for Prout to get this move done here on Baker and try and extend his championship lead. He'll get it done into the final corner, but Baker's going to try and hold strong around the outside. Up ahead, it's Josh Silcock who takes the final victory of the day here at the Nurburgring. Mitchell Sparrow finishes second and McIver in third. Prout just covering off Ewan Baker at the end. Nico Scholes and Bryce Harding got within a second of them there on the final lap.
Yeah, they got aggressive. They carried some really, really nice momentum. And Sprague comes home with P8 in the final lap of the night as well. Dylan Jordan home inside the top 10. I think Justin Davies actually managed to pick up the final spot there. That's confirmation of Cordier in the pit lane. And there's a few drivers who unfortunately didn't have a great one, but I tell you what, can we have another one? I don't think we're done for the race. Have we got a spare set of tyres out the back? Throw them out there again.
Question is, which of them are we going to have a chat to first? We have to talk to podium finishers, hard charger winner, and the fastest lap winner. I reckon fastest lap first, because it did go to Cooper Prout. 1 minute 39.022 by my timing. Cooper, you've got the fastest lap of the day award, and, well, you were just carrying that kind of pace all night long.
Yeah, it was great racing. It was quite hard the whole way, but it's good fun.
$40 Mannon Racing Products Sim Racing Store voucher coming your way. Do you have any idea what you might put that towards?
I'm not too sure yet, to be honest, but I'll have a look.
Certainly. And as well, getting finishes over Ewan Baker in all 3 races today, so your championship lead should be extended in the midst of all of this too. It's perfect setup for the final round.
Yeah, we're all looking good for the final round, but we'll keep our head down and try and do our best again.
Fantastic job today, Cooper. Right up the top all the way through, and $40 MRP Sim Racing Store voucher heading your way. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, cheers.
Cooper Prout there, and well, we have the fastest lap award in hand for him. Meanwhile, Scott, I understand you've had a chance to catch up to Josh Silcock.
Mate, only chatted about, 10 or 15 minutes ago. That last race absolutely blew by. 5-way scrap inside of the top 5. And, well, we said your teammate was going to have a go at you. He absolutely did that on multiple occasions, trying to go around the outside with James McIver. That final race of the night, that looked like that was a boatload of fun. Everyone was sending it on everyone.
Yeah, that was pretty mental. Massive thanks to James for helping me out there. Obviously, we're good mates off the track as well. So, yeah, he for sure helped me there. We were kind of bit of communication coming into effect. But, yeah, nice to hold on and, yeah, have a week that has 3 good races in a row is quite nice.
Very difficult to do in board of the chaos that comes from these races thus far. Look, Nurburgring went really, really well. One final round to challenge for and absolutely have a go at. How are you feeling confidence-wise? A lot of points picked up in this round. Championship, you're going to be there, you're going to be thereabouts in sort of the side of that top 5, but it's going to take a lot to get by Cooper Prout in that final race of the championship.
Yeah, Cooper's put a massive season or a massive series together, and he has, deserves the championship lead he has. And yeah, for sure, he's going to be hard to beat. But we're looking at that top 3, top 2, kind of want to be around there, and yeah, that's the goal. None of these tracks I've actually driven before. I bought them just for the series, so yeah, everything's new each week. But yeah, it seems to be working pretty good.
Mate, finally, is there anyone that you'd like to give a thank you or a shout out to? Because it's been helpful. Obviously, James McIver is getting a big shout out here, but anyone else that gets done behind the scenes for you?
Yeah, just my whole family, everybody who's involved in my rallying as well. Everybody who watches the series, it's such an awesome series. First kind of time I've been, in a series that is this high quality, and I can't thank the guys enough who run it. All the sponsors for the series, and thanks to everybody who makes it all happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Silcock gets it done in the final race of the night here tonight. We'll see you again next week, Josh, to certainly throw down in the final round of the season.
Cheers, thank you.
Brilliant stuff from Josh Silcock today, and our hardest charger of the evening joins us now thanks to Apex Lab. It's the wildcard entry of Nico Scholes. Welcome, Nico. A fantastic drive from you, gaining positions in all 3 races for a total of 17 spots going through the night. Our organisers behind the scenes saying they don't think they've had anyone go forward in all 3 races so far this season. How was it for you out there?
Yeah, like it was a really good wild card event. Like this was my first meeting in this series. Like these guys are really, really quick. Like I didn't expect how quick they were going to be, but yeah, we had to muck up in qualifying, reset back to the pits, and I was like, dang, I just like got in the habit of going back to the pits, after you have a spin or anything. So I reset back to the pits, and I had to start from the back. But yeah, no, we decided to break our way forward and went to 6 in the end for the feature. So yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, very interesting debut for you, especially coming into the sim after a real life competition as well, competing especially this year in the GR86 Championship, I believe, for Mackenzie Motorsport. How does the iRacing version of the car compare?
These ones are a lot more hooked up. Like they've got ABS. They don't have TC ones, but the different tire and they got the wing. But yeah, these ones are like you just turn and they've got heaps of grip. But the ones like out in the 86 Series Bridgestone Championship, like they're a bit loose and you can like do more. Yeah.
Well, at the very least, it's still a very similar car, which should provide these sim drivers with a very good baseline for what to expect if they end up winning the real life drive.
Yeah, 100%. They're so quick. These guys, like, they can definitely hop into a car and like be top 10 in the championship. Like, these guys are so quick. Like, I didn't think these guys were gonna be like 6 tenths up the road on me. Like it's crazy to see how fast sim drivers are.
Yeah, some incredible pace being carried by these drivers. Thank you very much once again for joining us, Nico, and appreciate you having coming on board for this 3rd round. Hopefully we can expect you next week for the final round of the championship as well, but regardless, big thanks for joining us in the booth. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Just Dad for supplying the simulator, and yeah, the VXR for supplying the liveries and stuff. The car looks really cool. And yeah, thank you very much.
We say our goodbyes here on NZ Sim Racing TV. One more reminder, though, of the Driver of the Round viewer vote. Get onto the NZ Sim Racing TV socials after this event concludes and name your favourite driver of the night. Anyone you thought put on a fantastic performance, anyone who was especially flashy out there today, that driver at the end will get a Speed Nation pair of Sim Racing gloves. And if you vote, you are in the running to yourself win a pair of sim racing gloves thanks to Speed Nation, one of many fantastic sponsors of the CareVets NZ Toyota 86 E-Cup. Huge thanks to Cream Insurance, to Mannon Racing Products, to Moser Racing, Apex Lab, and of course all of the crew behind the scenes at NZ Sim Racing TV and the NZ Sim Racing Collective. I'm Reese Gardner, Scott Rankin alongside me in the commentary box here on NZ Sim Racing TV. Who's going to end up taking the spoils at the end? The CareVets NZ Toyota 86 E-Cup has just 1 round of the finals to go at the Adelaide Street Circuit this time next week. We hope to see you there.